From prestigious and historic halls haunted by the restless spirits of those who graced them over a century past, to prominent theaters hosting both astounding acts and chilling paranormal infestations, ghosts, cryptids, and things darker than the human imagination can conjure roam the streets of the DFW, which is why the Speakeasy is excited to bring you our list of picks for the most haunted places in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro, starting with Number 5, Fort Worth Zoo. Fort Worth Zoo is a 64-acre zoo located off of Colonial Parkway in Fort Worth that has been named as a top zoo in the United States by a number of notable magazine publications. It has also been named and widely considered one of the top zoos in the South by Southern Living Readers' Choice Awards. The zoo was originally founded by the city in 1909 with only a handful of rabbits, 2 bear cubs, and a singular lion, alligator, coyote, and peacock. In 1937, Monkey Island was brought to life. Funds for new animals and exhibits were collected primarily by the community until 1939, when the Zoological Society, now the Fort Worth Zoological Association, was formed to manage the collection of additional, much-needed funding. The Herpetarium was opened in 1960 and houses the largest reptile and amphibian exhibit on the planet. In 1991, the Fort Worth Zoological Society assumed total management of zoo responsibilities from the city. Over the last 30 years, there have been numerous changes to exhibits, animals, and performances. Renovations, modernizations, and exhibit changes occur up into present times. Today, Fort Worth Zoo plays home to over 7,000 species, both native and exotic, in addition to, according to reports, a multitude of hauntings. The most common spirit reported from all across zoo property is said to be that of former elephant trainer Michael A. Bell, who tragically was crushed to death by an elephant in 1987. Since his death, many have reported sighting his translucent form wandering near the elephant's enclosure, staring fondly at the great creature, seemingly no hate in his heart. All across the premises, both employees and visitors report extreme and unnatural cold spots, shadowy figures that dart about, disembodied footsteps, and misty apparitions both seen by the naked eye as well as captured in photographs and video. Lastly, the spirit of a woman in early 19th century clothing has been sighted roaming about, often pacing near the zoo's cafe. Not much is known about her, but many suspect she was one of the zoo's early patrons, her spirit simply returning to happier times. Number 4, the Majestic Theatre. The Majestic Theatre is a performing arts theater located off of Elm Street in the city center district of downtown Dallas that boasts its title as the sole surviving portion of the city's historic Theater Row. The structure was originally built in 1920 to replace an older theater of the same name that had burned to the ground earlier in 1917. This new theater opened its doors in 1921 under the ownership of Carl Hoblitzell and stood as a flagship for Interstate Amusement Company, a chain of vaudeville houses. The theater's interior was initially divided into both theater and office space, with a large portion being utilized for IAC. Throughout the years, the theater hosted the likes of Mae West, Bob Hope, and even the mysterious and great Houdini. In 1922, films were added alongside regular vaudeville shows, but only a decade later, by 1932, it had converted to purely movies. During this time, the theater became known for a period as a man's house and began featuring only films with macho male protagonists. Sadly, in 1973, the Majestic closed down, and in 1976, the Hoblitzell Foundation turned the property over to the city. Renovations were started immediately as every attempt was made to restore the old building to its former grandeur. The theater finally reopened in 1983. Today, it hosts regular musical productions, dramatic plays, pageants, dance shows, concerts, and, according to local legend, a number of chilling apparitions. The most famous apparition on the property is rumored to be, you guessed it, that of Karl Hoblitzell himself, who died in 1967 but whose ghost is thought to have remained in his beloved building. Activity is said to get strongest in his old office, with the door refusing to stay shut even when locked, and the air feeling in general much colder than the rest of the building. Heavy, disembodied footsteps are also commonly heard pacing his old room when it's supposed to be vacant, and when staff have gone to look, they always find the space completely empty. The apparition of an elderly man, some speculate also Karl, just at a different point in his life, has been sighted sitting on the balcony. When anyone's gone to check on him, however, they find the balcony completely empty, the man nowhere in sight. Also reported throughout the Majestic, and not thought to be consistent with Karl, are shadowy figures seen darting about at night, the extreme feeling of always being watched or followed by someone unseen, phones ringing with no one on the other end, props moving on their own, and strange smells, some of perfume or food cooking when none is around. Number 3. Sons of Herman Hall. Sons of Herman Hall is a historic fraternal order ballroom located within the Deep Ellum neighborhood of Dallas that today acts as a venue for musical concerts, community events, and more. It boasts the title of being the oldest freestanding wooden structure as well as the oldest bar in the city of Dallas. Sons of Herman is a mutual aid society intended for German immigrants that was formed in NYC in 1840. This particular location and lodge was constructed later in 1911 when 4 other Dallas lodges came together on the project in an effort to provide more space for growing meetings. Over time, the hall was transformed into a community space with a legendary dance hall and venue for music and other performances. Around 1917, a bowling alley was installed, allowing for competitions between lodge members. Sadly, the bowling alley was closed in the 1960s, but its lanes can still be seen in the flooring. From 1937 and onward, the hall became a place of rehearsal for several local singing and dancing groups, and later, in 1943, the fraternity began hosting their meetings in English, allowing for any English-speaking individuals to join regardless of lineage. Through the 1980s, the venue began showcasing a ton of local and some celebrity talent. Portions of the building were used as set space for some serious television shows. Today, the property still plays home to 2 separate Sons of Herman lodges, as well as a bar, music venue, and, of course, the ballroom. Over its lengthy existence, the Sons of Herman Hall has been no stranger to local ghost stories. The building, in fact, is rumored to hold several spirits. Apparitions in clothing from many different eras have been sighted rounding corners or lounging in furniture, while spectral children have been spied playing in the yard, shortly before fading into nothingness in broad daylight. Strangely, on a number of occasions, staff has returned to the hall after breaks or to close or open and has discovered furniture completely rearranged, sometimes under impossible time frames of 5 minutes or less. Also reported throughout the hall are objects moving on their own, pictures flying from the walls, shadowy people seen slinking in dark rooms, and strange lights both visible to the naked eye and caught in the backgrounds of photos and videos. Many entering the hall report feeling instantly uncomfortable, feeling the hair raise on the backs of their necks without explanation, and on several occasions, witnesses report doors slamming violently shut and loud, disembodied voices heard from within what should have been an empty room. While filming Walker, Texas Ranger at the hall, some extras report having a drink late at night when they watched a ghostly couple walk right by them directly into the room, down the hall, and fade from sight. Lastly, the ghost of a former caretaker dubbed Lewis has been sighted on occasion. Lewis is always said to be in a bad mood, much as he was in life, and has even been known to yell at the spectral children from the yard. Number 2. Miss Molly's Hotel. Miss Molly's Hotel, Molly being the name often given to the lead cow on a cattle drive, is an Old West themed hotel set in a historic boarding house located just off of Exchange Avenue in the stockyards of Fort Worth that boasts the title of being the oldest bed and breakfast in the city. The Fort Worth Union Stockyards first opened in 1890, covering an impressive 206 acres. Over time, as the meat industry and demand for product grew, the need for housing and restaurants to cater to those cowboys working the stockyard drastically increased. In 1910, the building that now serves as Miss Molly's Hotel opened as the Palace Rooms, an upper-scale boarding house. Through Prohibition, a portion of the building was transformed into a speakeasy dubbed the Oasis. Following the end of Prohibition, through the 40s, the building was drastically transformed into a reputable bordello, where local men could go for a good bite to eat and some company afterwards, for the right chunk of their pay. Today, this old structure holds our well-loved and stylishly themed bed and breakfast, which offers 7 guest rooms and the ridiculously delicious Star Cafe. A number of supernatural stories surrounding Miss Molly's and regarding encounters with the inexplicable have emerged from the property over the years. So many, in fact, that the hotel is said to keep a collection of photographs and recordings of paranormal phenomena. Many of these hauntings are thought to be the restless spirits of both cowboys and former working girls. The cowboys' room is said to be the most haunted area in the hotel. There, many report personal items going missing, faucets found running when the room has been locked, the feeling of being consistently watched, and a shadowy apparition seemingly donning attire from the Old West by his silhouette. The ghost of a woman named Ms. Josie King, the last madam of the brothel, has been seen in her old room often. She has been known to awaken sleeping guests at 3 a.m. by standing unnervingly at the end of their bed, watching them sleep, while creating an unnatural chill throughout the room. The ghost of a beautiful blonde woman thought to be a former working girl has been known to crawl into bed with any single men who stay at the hotel, embracing them in an icy grip and causing them to freeze in place in terror. Several apparitions in old-fashioned clothing, additional shadow figures, and a group of ghostly children has been sighted across the premises, and the spirit of a little girl of maybe 8 or 9 years in age has been spotted in the lobby and near the entrance. On several disturbing occasions, confused and terrified guests and staff have reported getting quite literally locked inside of rooms. The televisions and lights turning on and off, the blinds opening and closing erratically, the toilet flushing, and all-out paranormal pandemonium breaking loose around them. Also reported across the grounds are strange mists in photographs, doors opening and slamming shut on their own, the feeling of being constantly followed, extreme cold spots, and strange lights seen by the naked eye. Lastly, the smell of old-timey perfume often wafts through the air when none is present, courtesy of the hotel's ghostly gals, some claim, as they try and lure the living in from the other side. Number 1. Hotel Adolphus. Hotel Adolphus, located off Commerce Street in the Main Street district of downtown Dallas, is a historic upscale hotel that has time and time again been named as one of the top 10, if not the top hotel in the US by various notable publications, both national and international. The hotel originally opened its doors in 1912 and was constructed, strangely enough, by the founder of the Anheuser-Busch Company, Adolphus Busch. His vision was to create the first grand and posh hotel in Dallas. The hotel underwent its first expansion in 1916. The business was managed by Otto Schubert from 1922 to 1946. Schubert overworked to ensure the hotel gained a national reputation for its luxury and grandeur. It underwent yet another expansion in 1926. Through the 1930s, the hotel's bar began hosting a number of events, many musical performances. Some of these more notable performances included greats of the era such as Tommy and Jimmy Dorsey, Benny Goodman, and even Glenn Miller. Unfortunately, during this time, the hotel also gained a reputation for segregation, and it's said that behind closed door it acted as a meeting place for members of the KKK. This didn't last long, however, and in 1950 the hotel underwent its final expansion, bringing its count up to 1,200 rooms. Though later, through the 80s, it would see a renovation and remodel that would expand all guest rooms, actually bringing this number back down to 428, but at a serious increase to luxury and lounge space for guests. Today, Hotel Adolphus is part of the Marriott Hotel's Autograph Collection and is open year-round. The hotel offers several dining and drink options, a fitness center, pool, events venue, and a literal mecca of purported hauntings, local legends, and phenomena that just can't be explained logically. So many, in fact, that time and time again, Hotel Adolphus has been called one of, if not the most haunted hotel in the entire state of Texas. All across the property, strange sights, sounds, smells, and even seemingly supernatural realities have been experienced by both staff and guests. The ghost of a bride from the 1930s has been sighted and is often heard from around corners or from dark rooms playing a chilling musical box. As the story goes, in life she was to be married but was left on the day of her wedding. Distraught, she was found hanging later where they would have said their vows. Guests to Hotel Adolphus are often awakened in the middle of the night by the sounds of someone sprinting up and down the halls. Despite numerous attempts to catch these phantom runners, no one has ever been found or caught. The 19th floor once held a ballroom, and many who stay there, namely in the rooms that were literally the ballroom portion, have reported the disembodied sounds of glasses clinking, music, voices, and have even dreamed or viewed what they claim to be images from the past, from parties long ago. Strangely, in the majority of these reports, the experiencee has no prior history or ties to the realm of psychic abilities or sensitivity to the paranormal in any form. A female ghost has been encountered often in the kitchen, looking lost and usually startling unsuspecting staff members nearby. Her disembodied voice has also been heard calling various names, probably long deceased. The elevator at Hotel Adolphus is said to act as if it has a mind of its own, sometimes trapping unsuspecting individuals inside. Many of those who've been trapped inside later describe the unnerving feeling of someone unseen in there with them, tapping them on the shoulder or breathing down their neck. All throughout the hotel, many report banging sounds from within the walls, windows opening and closing when no one is near them, and whiffs of perfume or cologne from a time long past. A ghostly lady in white has been sighted over the years. Those who have been in her presence often describe being overcome with a certain feeling of sadness, of loss. Several claims tell she's actually the same bride who hanged herself from the 30s, but in recent times there has been some controversy. Though her story may be similar in nature, the current rendition is that she's actually a separate entity entirely, that of a woman who lost or was betrayed by her husband and was driven to ending her own life. Several braver individuals have attempted to near and even talk to her, but as they do, she always fades away in an instant. While many of its hauntings are grim in nature, the hotel also claims to house a lot of ghosts of previous guests, specifically those who were happy in life and whom didn't want the party to end, didn't want to leave. So remember, when you visit, loosen your belt a little, bust out your best dance shoes, and wear your cheeriest smile. You never know what kind of paranormal party you're in for. With its awesomely fascinating history and beyond luxurious accommodations, coupled with some of the most impressive supernatural activity we've seen, well, anywhere, we think the lodgings at Hotel Adolphus will more than suffice for our pick as the most haunted place in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro. Thank you all for tuning in to our list of picks for some of the most haunted places in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro. If you enjoyed hearing our histories and stories as much as we enjoyed telling them to you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn notifications on so you know when fresh content is coming out. Oh, and visit our new Facebook page at facebook.com/TheRealSpeakeasy. That's all lowercase and no spaces, just like you see it on the screen. Throw us a like if you feel we deserve it, and most important of all, share this channel and our video with anyone you think could use a good scare. We'll catch you all next time.